Here's my problem with that, Dave. I need the number one pick. I need the number one pick.
Okay.
I don't think you're going to trade for the number one pick, no matter how many draft picks. So, you got to be bad to get the number one pick, Dave. Are you okay with the Dolphins being bad?
Well, Tua in the pistol. Tua fakes the handoff. Okay. What you gonna do? Pass completed.
Keep that energy right there. Keep that energy right there. Oh, it's Tua time. Fin fans up north, fin fans to the south, to the east, and to the west. What's better than this? More of this. Now let's talk about it. We're going to talk about Tua Tagovailoa. He's the quarterback from Alabama that we selected first round, 5th pick. And there was much esteem about Tua going into the draft. It was talked about that we were tanking for Tua, and that was something I never wanted to believe. But things are coming out in the woodwork that's just crazy. And people have been going to. We even went to visit Tua. We wanted Tua back when he was in Alabama, even. The story is we was checking him out. We wanted him back then. We wanted Tua back when he was in Alabama, even before he even graduated. So, there's a whole story with that. Then, since Tua was hurt, there was limited practice he could do after we drafted him. And then there came this moment when all the clamoring and everything was just going on. Then it was a game against the Jets. It was a game against the New York Jets when the decision was made to put Tua in for a few plays. Tua came in, and people they were going bananas everywhere, and came in for a few plays, and he did his thing, and everything looked pretty sharp, and they just left a lot. It left a lot of food on the table, so to speak, on what was going to be going down and what was going to be happening. Then it's like later on in the same season, actually the following week, it was like the following week, there's this big deal to where everybody wanted Tua to start, and some people in the organization didn't want him to start because he wasn't ready, and yet they started him. And when they started him, when they started Tua, it was like, oh wow, they actually started the guy, and they're giving him a chance, which it was all cool. He's down for giving Tua a chance and an opportunity, for him to do, what he was drafted in to do. I mean, it seemed like things was kind of on point with everything. Tua wound up with 1,814 yards, for that season. And he had 2 comeback games, one against the Arizona Cardinals and the other against the New England Patriots. And I can believe that one with the Arizona Cardinals, the score was 34-31, and the other comeback game with the New England Patriots, the score was 22-12. It was 22-12 with that game. And that's what wound up happening with the rest of the 2020 season with Tua running the show. Then, of course, next season rolls in, and here we are. We jump into the 2021 season, and Tua, once again, here he is, lighting up the OTAs. Tua's lighting up the OTAs, and he's doing everything that he's supposed to be doing, and he's doing it right. Now, although OTAs isn't really a strenuous practice, it does show progress. and it shows, it works on some conditioning, and at the same time, it gets the players acclimated to, some of the play calls and some of the schemes that we're running into. It's really like it's a vanilla. It's a vanilla training. That's all it is. It's really OTAs are like it's like a vanilla training. And however, you get a good look at some of the new players that we drafted, and we got a good look at what Tua was going to be doing. So the OTAs, Tua was there lighting it up, and everybody thought that's probably what would be expected. Since we had great hopes and there were great expectations coming out of the 2020 season. With them 2 games, the Cardinals and the Patriots being some good legendary games for him to have under his belt, and we all thought that was great. As training camp rolled in, there was like some mixed reports coming in, that Tua is definitely the quarterback, and there were reports that we're in trouble, and those reports were coming in from everywhere, from players, from reporters in the media, from people who were at the practices, the fans that were at the practices just watching. And, we got into the whole preseason. With the preseason, there are reports, I heard things like, Reed Sennett should have been the starting quarterback. Like, I heard Reed Sennett was better than Tua during preseason. In fact, I heard that. That game against Cincinnati, Reed Sennett, played that last preseason game we had. I thought that they would keep Reed Sennett on as the backup over Jacoby Brissett, and really they should have. I really believe that we probably would have won a few more games if they would have kept Reed Sennett as our backup over Jacoby Brissett. We would have won a few more games that we wound up losing because, of the limited backup quarterback skills sets that was out there on the field for us. I don't know. That's just my IMO. That's just my IMO. I'm just, Reed Sennett, I thought would have been, if anything, I thought he was going to be the backup. However, some people were saying that Reed Sennett, actually beat out Tua in training camp. And so, I guess the money's going to go where, it needs to go. And if it's going towards, a particular person, then that player is definitely going to be seeing some playing time, I'm assuming. The season rolled on, and we got up to Buffalo. The Tua took us to our first win, against New England. However, though, a lot of the gameplay with Tua was like dinking and dunking, and left a lot on the table. That's for sure. And we were excited to see what was going to happen with Buffalo. And Tua got in the game in Buffalo. We got there at the game with Buffalo, and they, between Jesse Davis and Austin Jackson, they took Tua out. There was nothing left on the table. It was like somebody cooking up a nice meal and putting that meal on the table, and then somebody else coming by and snatching the tablecloth with everything that was on the table and now on the floor. Like, that's what that blow was like when they took Tua out. And he eventually came back. He eventually came back, and we had a couple game-winning drives with Tua, and they were both against the Jets. They were both against the Jets with those game-winning drives that we had last year, that allowed us to still, have belief in, what's going on with the quarterback, what's going on with Tua. And I think some of this is kind of like when you have like, okay, Tua. Okay, when you coming from like a hip injury, like Tua was coming from the hip injury, and then you have a head coach that doesn't really think that you're ready or you're the right one, but is pressured into making that decision that you go ahead and play, and there's gonna be a little bit of animosity there, and then it's like when you have the coach pretty much kind of like, you have the coach pretty much like, I guess what he's doing is like in a sense sabotaging the team in a sense, where he decides like, okay, well, if this is what you guys are going to do, this is what I'm going to do. And he gets all these inexperienced coaches in, coaching up professional athletes that need to be trained and coached up to play against other professional athletes, and these coaches don't have that experience in that, between coaching and being able to teach some players. I think that you had the problem that we had, and the problem that we had is the same problem Tua had, in a sense, because here we are, we have these expectations, and Tua, I'm sure, has his own expectations, and then there was that game. Then there was that game against Tennessee. That game against Tennessee was going to be. That was our do or die game right there, and literally it kind of was, because if we beat Tennessee, we get into the playoffs. We don't, well, there is going to be a regime change. And sure enough, we wound up losing that game. And there was a regime change. And now we have Mike McDaniels and a whole new coaching staff. And to be honest, it looks a little bit more promising. It does. It really does. And I hope Tua flourishes with this. Tua wound up with like, 2,000. Tua wound up with 2,653 yards, at the end of the 2021 season. And, he did have those two comeback games. Now there are a lot of things, a lot of new things on the table, and we're going to see what's going to happen with them. Tua 3.0, okay? I call it 3.0, I mean 2020, 2021, and now it's going to be this season. And what's happening here is definitely a new but old version of Tua, because what we're looking at is the weapons Tua has around him now, right? So back when Tua was golden and shining like gold, back when Tua was shining like gold out there in Alabama, there were some pieces that really made this happen for Tua, right? For one, we had Jerry Jeudy, right? And then from Jerry Jeudy, you had Higgs, and with Higgs, you also had Devontae Smith, and then you had Waddle. So when you're looking at those four pieces, that Tua had back at Alabama to help make his life easier, outside of a solid offensive line, okay? Because right now our offensive line, we definitely built up offensive line. I think we're going to get J.C. Treader. I think that's going to be a good one for us to. He's going to be a good player for us to pick up. However, right now as it stands, our offensive line is really solid, and with these additions Tua had at Alabama, now let's translate them into what Tua has now, with Miami. Because in Alabama, again, Tua had Jeudy, he had Devontae Smith, he had Ruggs, he had Ruggs, and he had Waddle. So what he has now, he has Waddle, okay? He has Waddle for Waddle, right? He has Cedric Wilson for Devontae Smith, right? He has Tyreek Hill